Good morning. Great morning. Wonderful morning. Spectacular morning. Outstanding morning. Supercalifragilisticexpialidocious morning. Again, the beautiful reminder of choice that you have, that I have, that we all have. And what is that choice about? Well, it's very simple. It's about how we're going to think. Remember, that's all it's about. That's all it's ever going to be about. And the best part about that is that you have control over what that narrative is going to be inside. Now, think about that for you. Think about how important that is for you to understand that, because that inner narrative inside is the cause of the results in your life. And if you don't change that cause, guess what? You don't change. You don't change the results, and results are what you're wanting to change. So guess what you've got to deal with? You've got to deal with the cause. Think about how simple that is and how important that is for you to get that. And again, what's beautiful about it is when you learn how to do it, especially when you have the right support and the right information. Oh my gosh, next thing you know is magnificent change happens. And by the way, it happens very fast. Um, but again, the big question is it's not about whether or not that's available for you. The question is whether or not you're going to connect with it and use that in your life, because most people don't. Most people, when they hear this information, that's as far as it goes. It goes into something that they know about, and maybe they even go into study it or even memorize what we're talking about. But then because the implementation is not something that happens in their lives consistently, persistently, diligently, there's no solid change in the inner world, which means there's no solid change in the outer world. There's no permanent change. And by the way, isn't that what you're really after, to be able to deliver that kind of change in your life? Yeah, it is. So, our invitation for you is to use what we're talking about as if your life depends on it, to study and apply, mostly apply what we're talking about, to use what we've provided to you to help you to deliver that change. And where we recommend that you do start without question is getting this beautiful gem here. There's no such thing as self-sabotage. This is a game changer, especially for those of you who coach and mentor, who help other people to deliver change. This is a huge game changer because it corrects the lie that the personal development world has instilled on people. Think about that. The overwhelming majority of the personal development world uses as its foundation the idea that you are stopping you, that you're your own worst enemy, that you are battling against yourself, or that you self-sabotage. All of that's a bunch of bullshit. It's not true. You are not your own worst enemy. You are not battling against yourself. You are not self-sabotaging. There is no such thing as self-sabotage. See, what's in the way is what's called a program, and that program in you is not you. Why? Because it can change. Think about that. What you believe, the habits you have, that's the paradigm. If that was you, then you wouldn't be able to change it. And see, that's another thing that a lot of people don't get or understand. And that's what we help people to get and to understand. All right. So before we go into this, our invitation for you for the next book that we're going to be studying is The Secret of the Ages by Robert Collier. And if you haven't ordered your book yet, make sure that you order it right now. And it's going to be absolutely amazing. Get the version that we are publishing. It's the direct edition from 1926 in The Secret of Ages from Robert Collier. We'll provide with you the link to be able to get that. You can get it in either paperback or hardcover, and it is really beautiful. It's one of my favorite books. There was one chapter specifically that led me to connect with it, and also did the same thing for Dolly as well. And it's in the chapter of Primal Cause. And he explains so beautifully that we've got to build in our own mind first how we would love things to be before it can take place in the outside. The secret of all power, all success, all riches is in first thinking powerful thoughts, successful thoughts, thoughts of wealth to supply. We must build it in our own mind first, is what Robert Collier says. And oh my gosh, that one thing alone stirred me so beautifully to help to make some really big, significant changes in my life. And we're hoping that it does the same for you. Because you know why? Because you're worth it. All right, I want to read a little paragraph from Neville before we start into where we left off. And oh, by the way, you should have received in the WhatsApp a PDF of more of what we went through yesterday, and the wisdom behind the words, on the stuff from Christian Larson. Make sure that you have that with you because we're going to be going into that right after this. But I want to share with you something again from Neville, and I love this so much because he talks about how you've got to be loyal to that unseen reality. In other words, what you imagine to be true for yourself, and let go of who you have been, who you have been being, I should say, in order for it to take place. Now, listen to this. You must abandon yourself mentally to your wish fulfilled in your love for that state. And in doing so, live in the new state and no more in the old state. That's what's got to happen inside. You've got to imagine something really great for yourself, not as something that is going to happen, but something that has already happened. You have to enter that state. And remember, with that state, all the plots, plans, dramas, and situations are just waiting to be activated. When you connect with that, they activate and they start to move you toward that as a result in your life. Well, again, here he says you got to live in that state and no more in the old state. You cannot commit yourself to what you do not love. So the secret of self-commission is faith plus love. Faith is believing what is unbelievable. Commit yourself to the feeling of the wish fulfilled in faith that this act of self-commission will become a reality. And it must become a reality because imagining creates reality. Imagination, the most powerful, wonderful tool you have to shift what's happening in your life. Through imagination, through the use of it, you can change everything in your life. But see, this is where practice comes into play and using it. There are several chapters in the program that we wrote called Emergence that deals with imagination. There's the third lesson on dreaming big, and then there's another specific lesson which is actually titled Imagination, which is something that's so important for you to get, especially if you want to make big changes in your life. And I know that that's why you're here. So, you know what? Use it, and use it as if your life depends on it. You know why? Because it does. All right, so let's go into this, shall we? Are you ready? Type in the comments. I'm ready if you're ready. And for those of you who are watching this live stream and would love to watch the rest of this and go into what we're about to go into and access the replays, then do yourself a favor, decide right here, right now, and go to elevitality.com and register for Master Your Mind so that you can have access to this. You'll thank yourself later. You'll thank yourself later, big time. All right, so ready? Let's go ahead and take care of this right now.